Hi, welcome to Metro by T-Mobile.
Hi, my dad is in serious need of an upgrade.
Yeah, my phone's a fossil.
He needs a new phone and a new network stat.
Well, when he switches to Metro, he can get an amazing iPhone 7 with HD Retina display for just $99.99 after ID validation.
Wow, $99.99?
Bye-bye, fossil.
Requires porting of eligible number not currently active on T-Mobile network or active on Metro in past 90 days. With validation of ID. An independent database limit for per account/household. 32 gigabyte model only. See store for details and terms and conditions.
It was a black cat. It was a man's cap.
Hi, this is Jennie Walker, and welcome to Closet Conversations. Today, I have a guest for you that I know many of you are looking forward to hearing from. We have the CEO and founder of Relovv, Alex Shadrow, is joining us today. Who's going to tell us all about her selling app and the state of resale in general. Welcome, Alex, to the show.
Hi, Jenny. Thank you so much for having me.
You're so welcome. I'm so excited to have you on here. You are the first CEO of a selling platform to join Closet Conversations. And I just love the fact that we get to hear from your perspective this angle on the whole reselling industry.
I'm really excited to be here and share. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. Well, I found out about you sort of organically. I think what happens is someone like myself who is reselling, who's in the consignment industry, if you are following the industry at all, you're going to learn about new platforms that come up. And I came across you, and I was excited to know that yet another platform had joined this list of people tackling the resale industry. And I have joined your platform. I have had a sale on your platform. I've had some interaction with it, and I'm really excited to have you here, so that you can tell our listeners a little bit about who you are, how you got started with this Relovv selling app, and sort of how you differentiate yourself from the others that are in the marketplace.
Absolutely. I'd love to share. So I think like most great companies, I started by accident off of a problem that I faced myself. And so basically, I have always been really sustainably conscious. On Instagram, I go by Sustainabay, like sustainable, but with a bay at the end. And it's always been a really big passion of mine. So naturally, I tried, out some of the other platforms that are out there, just to name a few, like Poshmark and eBay, and even Facebook Marketplace back in the day when I was getting started. And I found that they were challenging for different reasons, but overall, what I really found was a lack of curation and a lack of styling. How much easier would it be, for me to sell my jeans if the platform matched me to people that were all in my size, that like skinny jeans, that like dark wash, How can we really facilitate these connections between buyers and sellers was kind of my question. And ultimately, I wasn't that successful on any of the other platforms because I didn't put enough time and effort into it. I was a full-time student, and I found it really, really challenging to sell my items without, doing a lot of work promoting, sharing, and really being, a great marketer for my own profile. So I created Relovv with the idea that we could match members to each other like a dating app. So based on a profile and a style quiz, we could find people that were similar to you and also similar to the items, and also predisposed, to like the items that were listed on your profile. And so this was obviously a really big undertaking. I worked with a co-founder and CTO to develop our algorithms, but ultimately created Relovv, which is supposed to be like Bumble for your closet. So we have a dating app, swipe left and right interface. When members join, they take a style quiz, and then they're automatically thrown into that swipe left and right arena where they can tell us more about what they like with every swipe and get matched to people based on their preferences.
Wow, I feel like my own closet is a really bad date sometimes.
Oh my God!
Yes, I know. I mean, I'm the worst offender. Well, it's interesting you talked about this aspect of it, because so much of, I know online shopping, it can take a long, long time. When I look myself, and I'm not just talking about this kind of site, but I mean, you can spend a couple hours going through a site and still end up with very few things. So I love the fact that you're proactively trying to shorten that time and get people within a shorter amount of space to the items that might make sense for them.
Exactly. And obviously the kind of thing that goes unsaid is that the more items we match to the right buyers, the more waste we save. And that's really the mission behind Relovv, is to reduce, reuse, relove, and extend the life cycle of clothing.
Let me ask you this, Alex, before we get into more specifics on your platform, could we step back just a minute and talk at large, because I'm fascinated by it. I understand you came from a family that had a business in recycling, which you can tell us about, but you know, the whole fact that all of this manufacturing is taking place. And my question to you, because you probably follow this closer than I do, is what is the data about if manufacturing is slowing at all? Because if we have this huge recycling going on and we're repurposing, and this whole new secondary market is off the charts with billions of dollars, and they're not slowing the manufacturing down, I don't know what to make of that. But if they are slowing the manufacturing of products down and shifting into this segment, then I feel like gains can be made. What do you make of that?
So I am really, really excited about what's happening in the resale world and how it's becoming so much more mainstream. I think people are starting to, at large, you know, not just the sub community, but at large, people are starting to think of pre-owned items as treasure that is out there for them to find. And I think that's amazing. That being said, I think it is too soon for us to jump up and cheer, because, you know, manufacturing is slowing down for some of the players, but for players like Fashion Nova and Nasty Gal, you know, it's only getting bigger and bigger. The business is only getting bigger and bigger. So I think that while people kind of scapegoat Forever 21 and H&M, there are so many other brands and even just boutiques out there, and Amazon, right, and Alibaba Express, where fast fashion is like so alive and well. And so we can't really clap our hands yet. We still have a lot of work to do with regards to changing consumer behavior of, like, when I, you know, need something for Coachella or for a date night or for a wedding, that seems like it's easier to get e-commerce, because obviously you can, return it, or you can possibly try it on. Really having people take a step back and realize what, for lack of a better word, and pun intended, right, based on the documentary, the true cost is behind buying retail. So I'm really excited that people are starting to think of being said, 80% of things on resale platforms are still not sold today. So we really need more people buying resale.
Right, absolutely. And, you know, once you sort of scratch the surface of how much is already out there, that's where my head just about explodes, because I deal in resale and consignment. I own a consignment shop. I co-own it, Walker Viden Luxury Consignment, but I'm also a reseller with a separate company, JennieGir's Closet, in my own right, so I'm seeing it from both sides. So we just took in 1,000 pieces from one person, one estate.
Wow.
Now, that's 1,000 from one person in the 1% in one city in this country. And I think when I wrap my head around that, I'm like, we aren't actually capable of handling right now. The infrastructure is not there of what's out there. And within the 4 consignment shops in Pasadena right now, we all kind of refer each other, you know, to one another. And lately it's been one of them's like, we're completely full. Go see Walker Viden. And we're like, we're completely full, but I'll still see what you have. But, you know, I can't really take in as much as I normally would. So, like, the capacity to deal with what's out there, I think your app is one step and part of the solution to that. But I just think in general, there's so much out there that once people start thinking this way and start letting their products be used, open up a lot of opportunities for people, and they'll actually need to be there to support this system ongoing.
I mean, I totally agree with you. We really do need more people. Like, there are so many sellers, right? We're never going to have too few things to sell, but we need more people thinking about resale. And that's the whole premise of Relovv, is making it even easier to buy, because I think for selling, on the selling side, it's really been built out, really, really well thought out. It's easy for people to list their stuff, as easy as it can be. Obviously, we need photos, we need title, we need description. Those are just things we can't live without, but it's been, done as simplified as it can. As far as buying goes, that's what Relovv is really working on, is like a new way to actually experience the search, to actually experience the discovery.
Well, I love the fact that you are yet one of the newest on this marketplace, because someone like myself, I kind of make it my business, and I know you certainly, I'm sure, do the same, is to try to, and I think that there's going to be a wave of more companies to come into this segment. And because not only because it's profitable, because it is profitable, but because it's important. And the fact that consumer attitudes can be reflected so strongly in this world. My mom used to always on every issue, and I think it's never more evident than the fact that I've completely changed how I shop. And I mean, I'm a big fan of many of these sites, and I just love the opportunity to get something, to repurpose it. But more importantly, it's better made and more interesting. And yes, actually less money, but what in our consignment shop is the uniqueness and the quality. Because of fast fashion, the quality products, designer brands, and the mid-tier is just...
Totally.
Yeah, well, let's talk a little more about Relovv. You've got this app now. This you set yourself apart from people like Poshmark and eBay, and I want you to talk about how you do that, rather than me try to interpret how you do that. But I think it's really interesting that each platform is very different. Everyone I've studied to learn how to use them in order to be on multiple sites, and they're all just a little different. So talk about how Relovv is different, how you're using the data, you're doing the matching, but talk about how you set yourself apart.
Yeah, I'd love to. So Relovv is really a different experience from the beginning and throughout. And we've been really lucky to have some amazing pioneers on the app over this past year that are helping us spread the word and really helping us educate others on this new way to buy and sell. So I'll just love to walk everybody through the experience. When you first join Relovv, you join with a style quiz, which asks you all about your preferences. And something really exciting is we've actually seen 96% of the people that download the app finish the style quiz. So it really does show that people have an interest in a curated experience. So when you do your style quiz, you're asked everything from the styles you like, and we have 21 styles on Relovv, from athleisure to preppy to streetwear to vintage, and again, there's 21 styles. We ask what type of colors you like. We ask your body shape. We ask, and that's very personal, and we really appreciate people sharing this information with us, because all of this goes into our algorithm. And then at the end of your style quiz, we recommend some profiles for you to follow, and you're officially dropped into the swipe left and right interface, where we've curated items based on that style quiz that you took. Then every time you swipe, we learn more about you and what your preferences are. So let's say you swipe left on 10 red items. We might ask you, we noticed you're not so into the color red, are we correct? And you'll let us know whether or not that's true. So we are really learning about the customer with every single swipe, and I think that's really, really interesting. And then making better recommendations based on the items that sellers list. And when sellers list, we do ask them a bit more than other apps, because we need that information to then match them, their items to the right buyers. So we'll ask things like, what is the style of your garment? You'll pick from the 21 styles, 3 styles, which then inform the swipe left and right. And we'll also ask, for things like color, brand, size. Those things are pretty typical, but I think the styles really set us apart. And then we are delivering your items to the right buyers, and that's something that is taking time for sure. You know, we're garnering our community of buyers, but the vision is that eventually, unlike any other platform, you'll be able to list and kind of go about your day rather than having to share, rather than having to promote, because Relovv will do the work to match your item to the right buyer. And then I think the last thing that makes Relovv really different is that we're really community-based with regards to sharing. So I know on other apps, you share your own listings to the feed, and you share other people's in order to be shared back. However, on Relovv, you actually can curate other people's items and get paid when they sell. It's really, really unique part of Relovv. So if you like someone else's jacket and you know a friend or somebody who might want to buy that jacket, you can Relovv it to your profile, just like you may do a retweet on Twitter and, get that tweet on your page. And you'll actually make a small percentage of the sale if somebody buys it from your page. And just to be clear, Relovv actually pays for all of that, so the seller makes the exact same amount of money. We're just sharing our own commission with the person that's reloving and curating.
Can I step in just for a second? So how much of that is actually taking place? When I set up my on Relovv, I went through and lovingly picked everything that I felt matched the things that I was going to list. How much, if you can talk about it, how much of is that working in terms of people actually buying things that are from other closets within someone's closet? Is that like 10% of your business? Or
originally it was only a couple percent of the business, but it's actually grown to 20% of sales. So we're really excited, and I assume over time it will only grow more and more.
Oh, I love hearing that. That's fantastic. It makes me want to go back into my profile and get to work. Oh, gosh. Well, let me ask you this. One of the things is that you have often compared your company to Poshmark, but you've also talked about how there's a lot of what we lovingly call sharing on Poshmark to get your things out there. And yet there has to be some level of activity within the app, or it can't function, right? You have a certain level of activity you're asking people to do by reloving, which is essentially sharing, or, maybe I'm wrong with understanding it. People are asked and expected to do something, even if it's pulling their items into their store. Like, there has to be some sort of activity to go on within the app to make it work. So where do you see the level of activity on your site kind of different than what's needed, say, on a really, because I sell on there as well. They to sell successfully, you've really got to do all that.
Yeah, so we're a new app. We launched a year ago. We have just about 100,000 members now, which I'm really excited about. Just to put it in perspective, Poshmark has 5 million sellers, right? So that's quite a few more members than Relovv has at the moment. But we are growing every single day, and we rely on our community to continue sharing us with their friends. And I think it's just going to take a little bit of time for us to get to the level of something like Poshmark or eBay. And those apps have been around for 7-8 years. Relov's only a year old, but it's really important that we push the resale industry forward. It can't always stay the same. There needs to be innovation on the searching and the matching portion, especially, in my opinion, especially because 80% of resale items are still unsold. So really finding a home and a way to connect buyers with those items is essential, not just for resale as an industry, but for the environment. So that's really what we're working on at Relovv, and it's been a really amazing ride so far. And again, we rely on our customers and people listening to this podcast, whoever it might be, to share and help us grow.
So you have said that the average price point is around $30 for the site, and I believe it's higher on other platforms. So that tells me that your site is more focused on, say, fast fashion brands. It's lesser branded in terms of I'll just say non-luxury, for lack of a better term. So what made you decide to do this, to focus on this price point? Because it's going to require you to sell many, just quantity-wise, many more odds to ramp up in order to scale your business when the average price point is that low. So what is the thinking in all of that?
Absolutely. So I agree. Non-luxury is what we're really specializing in. I would not say fast fashion just because we have so many, brands like Adidas or Michael Kors, Anthropologie, Free People. So we have quite a few, great brands on Relovv, but definitely focusing on non-luxury. And the real focus on this is, no one is ever going to throw away a Gucci bag. They're not going to send the Gucci bag to the landfill, but with the lower priced items, that's the majority of what's wasted, in this world. So having a place to acquire things affordably is really what Relovv is all about. And you definitely hit the nail on the head. We do have multiple revenue streams. We have a sustainable styling program, which is a subscription where you get a personal stylist who works with you to curate looks for you. And that's a subscription, but right now that's closed because we only have so many slots for that right now. So that will be opened up in the future as well.
So how much revenue, like percentage-wise, is coming, I don't know how you track it, from the styling portion? Because I guess for me,
right,
because I am a stylist in my own right, that I think it's the use of the word is what throws me, because I would love for someone to feed me every pair of black leggings in my size, because I'm in a brand new pair right now by Hue that I bought at Goodwill for $6.99. It was brand new with tags from Nordstrom for $45. So what I would like is in terms of size, I would love for someone to feed me all the leggings in my size, but I don't know that I need styling per se, like this goes with this, goes with this. So to me, feeding someone product that fits them or that be different than, say, working with the stylist who's going to do a look for you. So what is styling within the Relovv app?
Yeah, so the styling is a really concierge experience. You get one weekly text with items handpicked for you, and this is all, again, occurring via a text message rather than in the app. And your stylist knows about you even more than the app does, right? So the app might know that you love the color pink, hate the color silver, but your stylist knows that you have an event for work coming up and that you're more comfortable with quarter sleeves. So the stylist really gets to know you and then sends you weekly picks. You've already prepaid, so you have credits on the app. And once you thumbs up or heart different items, we just go ahead and charge that to your credits. So it comes in the mail, and we also do the work of negotiating with sellers to get you the best price and make sure the item is available. It's Friday and it's a Monday. We make sure that the seller is going to ship on time and really just do all of the heavy lifting for you.
Wow, I love that. Let me ask you this. So you have talked about with Relovv kind of where you're kind of positioned in all this. You're the new kid on the block. But what I find so impressive about you is that this is technology. You have created a tech company, and I'm just curious to know, what is your background and how much technical knowledge did you have? I think you had a company before this one in the beginning, and because it isn't every day someone says, hey, I'm going to just build an app. I mean, it had to have kind of evolved, and you have to have some level of expertise in programming or coding or something, not just your love of fashion, which we haven't even gotten to yet. So obviously there's a love of fashion. But can you tell me about your background on the tech side? Because this is to me, it's a big deal to have created an app, a selling app, and I'm very impressed that you've done it. And you are so young, and I'm 3 generations ahead of you. And so there are, you're in your 20s, I'm in my 50s, there's 30-year-olds and 40-year-olds, and we have all, every decade, have had a completely different retail experience. When the mall came out in the 80s, it was just, you couldn't wait to just walk through the mall. I mean, and now here I am, on a selling app, right? It is completely different. So let's go back in time and talk about the tech side of this and your background to do all this.
Sure, I'd love to. Well, believe it or not, I actually don't have a tech background, but I have learned quite a bit about tech in the past 5-6 years. So my background is in public relations and communications. However, I've always been a natural salesperson, and I've really specialized in public speaking as well and branding, which are passions of mine. that being said, this is my second company, and I started a website a couple of years ago for college students to buy and sell things. And at the time that I hired the developers for that project, I knew nothing about development. I knew nothing about programming, and I ended up losing quite a bit of money. So with every sting, there's a lesson. And in losing that money, and the reason, by the way, I lost the money is because I didn't know anything about what they were doing. So when they would tell me, oh, it's going to take, 25 hours to build this, I believed them when it might just take 2 hours. And so I ended up, I ended up not really knowing what was right for development, and that ended up being a really expensive and hard lesson to learn. So when I ended up building Relovv, I took a lot of time to work with developers. I myself am not a developer or a programmer, but I have a really great understanding of the different coding languages, from JSS to Java to script to Python to, you name it, HTML. I know what type of code it takes to write different things and different features. I know the type of hours it takes to build things, and that really just came with working with developers on other projects. So I ended up working with some web developers and building out different websites and projects in the middle of my two companies, and getting a behind-the-scenes look on what it takes to build. I was able to build Relovv, attract the right talent, and now have a team of 5 developers.
Wow, that's even more impressive. I mean, you don't even know the coding, and you've got this tech company, and yet you are, you're on the ball. You're a quick learner. You've been able to grasp what's going on and build this company. And yeah, I think there's a lot of lessons in business. I'm gonna write a book later about all of mine with a consignment shop. You wouldn't think something like that. You would be, head turning, but there's so many things that come up that you don't know until you go through it. And I love the fact how resilient you are.
So
that,
true.
You had some things come up, and okay, yeah, you lost some money, but you learned so that the next time you knew how long something should take. And yeah, I've learned project work versus paying someone by the hour.
Right.
Something as basic as that, is a big lesson, for everyone.
Totally.
I do want to kind of shift gears for a minute, because you talked about Nasty Gal, and I'm fascinated by what happened to them. And because you, if I understand right, you have some venture money behind you. And so that story, though, the Nasty Gal story, is the antithesis of what might happen that isn't wonderful when you have funding behind you versus something that you can control 100%. So can you talk anything about at what point were you not 100% in control and funding this company, and at what point you wanted to bring in outside funding to, be able to scale and take it to the next level?
Absolutely. So unlike my last company, this company, Relovv, has always been venture funded. When it was just in its idea phase, I got an investment from an accelerator called Techstars, which I highly recommend for any tech companies that are looking to begin and really need a place to start and need support. Techstars is a really great program, and they do write a $120,000 investment into every company that gets accepted. So Relovv has always been venture funded, and I've always not been in 100% control of it. However, I will say at the earlier stages, I do think that the people that you bring on as angels, they invest in you rather than and in venture, right? They invest in you rather than in the company itself, and they believe in you. And it's just Relovv's an early, like you said, new kid on the block. So I think overall, my investors really do believe in me, believe in my ability to make decisions, believe in my ability to lead this company forward. But I do know that over time, in the next round, for example, it'll be not really based on anything that I've done, but based on the numbers themselves, right? How is Relovv doing? What is the traffic like? What is the conversion? And so when it gets to that point, investors, from what I hear, right, I haven't experienced it myself, but investors are definitely more hands-on in the sense that they expect certain milestones to be met and want to be a part of strategy. Obviously, the more money that's put in, the more risk and the more skin in the game they have. So I definitely have heard of investors being more involved. And as far as the investors, the way they've gotten involved so far, honestly, it's been a really big blessing. because they come with so much expertise and knowledge about, what it takes to found. And I found it to be extremely helpful to learn from people that have done it before and built successful companies and have money to invest.
Well, that's good to hear. I love that. That makes me non-afraid. Well,
yeah, I say don't be afraid of raising money.
Yeah. Well, let's skip to your love of fashion, because no one could be in a business like this that didn't love fashion or clothing. I mean, what did clothes mean to you, and what's your relationship with clothes? I know it sounds crazy, but women, we have a relationship. As a matter of fact,
right.
I can tell you that people come, they can tell you everything, where you bought it, how much you paid, if it was on sale or not, if you wore it anywhere, did you have any stone? Like, we know everything. We attach all this history to garments. So let's hear your story about that.
Definitely. So I think every person that loves fashion, like, there's something that inspired it. And so for me, right now, it's my 94-year-old grandmother. But at the time that I was first exposed to fashion, she was probably in her 80s or 70s. But my Nana is literally my style icon. She dresses extremely flamboyant, patterns, glitz, sparkles, mesh, chains. Like, if it's extra, she has worn it. And she has an insanely robust closet. The woman has, thousands of pieces of clothing. And so anytime she'd come over, I guess she tells me stories about how she would give me one of her rings and I would tell her another one, and just want to take her whole outfit off of her. And so over time, I actually started borrowing clothes from her that she had, hoarded from, years and years and years ago. It's as if she literally never got rid of anything. And I'm really glad that happened, because I got the benefit of, wearing all of that. And so I've always been in love with vintage. I've always loved expressing myself through style. I wear every kind of style. I wear goth style sometimes. I mostly dress pretty feminine, dresses, skirts, blazers, and pretty. I like the pretty stuff, personally. But I wear athleisure. I wear preppy. I just feel like, personally, getting dressed every day, you can kind of just have fun with it. And I think that that's what resale is all about. It's not about trends. It's not about, oh my God, pistachio is the hottest color on Instagram right now, I have to get 5 pistachio things for $20 from a fast fashion company. It's more like this freedom of, I can wear whatever I want. If I like it and it makes me feel good, I'm going to love it. And I'm going to really cherish this piece, And so my closet is filled with pieces that I really cherish, rather than trends, that are going to go out of style at any moment. And so I really value that. And obviously, it's been out of the landfill for 100 years now between my Nana and I. That's a really, really great place for it to begin.
Absolutely. Well, let me ask you this. I'm jumping around because there's so many things I want to ask you. And one of the things that I had written down here to ask you was, I would love your perspective is, where does the reselling community sit in your mind? And what I'm talking about is not the buyers, but the sellers. And the reason I'm asking this question is that I think the reselling community that's listening to this podcast, I think we as sellers want to know where we sit in the mind of people who have these apps. Where, how valuable are we? Where do we fit into the scheme of things? What can we do to come together as a group? Because one of the things I'm trying to do is build a community of resellers outside of the platforms. And what I mean by that is, eBay Open has an event you can go to once a year. Poshmark has an event, their big event, and then quarterly and local events. And I've been to these things, and I've never seen anything like it, where people just wanted to be around other people who were doing this, because we're all in silos. And they're, the retail federation that's out there is focused on, multi-million, billion-dollar companies, not individual resellers. So as a group, how do we come together? Where do we fit into your picture? And just talk to us. Tell us how where we fit into this, because I'm fascinated by it, and I think that the industry as a whole is so fragmented and is ripe to be brought together, not just within one app, your own. And I just thought you could tell us about where resellers fit into the picture of all of this, the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. So, I think there's a lot of talk about what comes first in a marketplace. Is it the buyers that attract the sellers, or is it the sellers and their amazing inventory that attracts the buyers? And I certainly subscribe to the belief that sellers come first. Without the inventory, especially on a platform like Relovv, where everything is curated, we really can't provide the best experience to our buyers. So we see resellers as our number one priority, and we've done a lot around that. So on Relovv, we are the only platform where there are literally no fees at all for the sellers. On Relovv, you come in and you tell us how much you want to make on your item, and you always make that much money. We simply add a 10% commission on top, which is paid for by the buyer. And also, of course, with our Relovving feature, the community to help you get your items sold. So on Relovv, resellers not only come first in our ethos, but come first in our policies as well.
Well, I love hearing that. I think that's fantastic. Now, in terms of building a community, do you have some plans to kind of bring everyone together? I know eBay has eBay Open, Poshmark has their annual and regional and local events. Where do you see Relovv in terms of building the community of resellers that's out there?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that this is much more than a online platform. This is about people that think about their lives in a really similar way and think about the world in a similar way. These are people that are passionate about sustainability. These are people that are passionate about the freedom to work from home or to have their side hustle be their own, or passionate about fashion, thrifting, and, reuse. And I think that that's what comes to life in the live events that these other companies have been hosting for years. And so Relovv has actually started doing some pop-up shops where you can come and shop our online inventory in person and meet some resellers that are on the platform. And we do these around the country, so you can follow on Instagram at Relovv, and we're always posting where we're going to be. But as far as a big convention goes, something that I definitely see in the future.
Well, I think that's a fantastic idea. I know that whenever I participate in something, thank goodness for the editing feature. Oh gosh, all my ums and ums, I must have had 500 of those I took out. All right, terrific. Well, I know I've had my experience on Relovv I wanted to tell you about. I actually sold a dress that I found someone else showcasing on their online haul video from Relovv. And I was just gobsmacked that I would, one, even catch the video, but two, that someone had found something that I had picked up. I think I picked it up at a Goodwill. I had tried to sell it. I did not have success. Eventually, I listed the inventory back onto your platform, and then someone else bought it with their hopes of reselling it back into the marketplace. And I just thought that was fantastic. And the person didn't even take off the Jennie Girl's Closet button that I put on everything that I sell. I could see it on their video. And to this day, I'm curious what they sold it for. So, and if they sell it. But I just thought that was fantastic because it really speaks to how things really cycle around. And also, I guess we all think the same thing is going to sell. So hopefully she had a good time doing that.
Absolutely. It's so fun.
Oh, I know. It's just wild. Well, what else did you want to share with the listeners here? I mean, we've talked about so many things, but I feel like there's always, something that people want to leave people with. And, this industry is really just thriving right now. I'm excited to see where it's headed. I love the fact that the technology is there that's letting all of us so easily sell things. But, in terms of the future and where everything is headed, I mean, where do you see it going?
Well, I definitely see Relovv, changing the way that we resell things. without having to have so much effort and I guess, just really effort on the part of the seller. Like we really want technology to seamlessly find the right buyers for you. So I think just like to everyone listening, please be patient with Relovv. We're a new app. It's taken Poshmark, 7-8 years to get where it is, and eBay even longer. So, I just think be patient with us. Please support us. We're one of the only female-owned apps in the space. Poshmark, and Etsy, eBay, Facebook Marketplace, Mercari are all owned by men. So it's really, means a lot for you to support a female-owned business, a female-owned platform. So please do support us and tell your friends about us. And finally, I love keeping these conversations going. To me, this is so much more than a business. It's a lifestyle. It's a mission. It's a value system. So please, stay in touch with me. Send me a DM on Instagram at Sustainabay, like sustainable, but BAE at the end, Sustainabay. And please, send me a DM, reach out. I'd love to keep the conversation going with you. And I just love, connecting with the community. So follow us on at Relovv and, keep up with everything we're doing.
Well, I love that you're female-owned. You're a bright young woman. You're an inspiration, and I just love the fact that you're out here doing this. And I look forward to following your progress on Relovv as a seller and as someone who's studying the industry and following it. And my goal is just to keep the conversation going, to elevate it, to get more people thinking about reselling, sustainability, the circular economy. And I really appreciate having you on the show, Alex.
Thank you so much, Jenny. It's been such a pleasure to talk to you. And for everyone listening, thank you so much for giving us an hour or however long this episode ends up being of your time. And I really, really appreciate the opportunity. So thank you so much.
You're so welcome. And that's it. This is Jennie Walker with Closet Conversations. We've been speaking with Alex Shadrow, CEO of Relovv, the first and only CEO of female CEO of a company like this, and she's going to be someone we're all going to be watching very closely to see how she progresses. And that's it. I look forward to having you with me on a future episode. If you like the song you heard at the beginning, it's called Black Hat, performed by Jennie Walker, written by Jennie Walker and Tommy Farragher. It's available on iTunes worldwide now.